Major crackdowns on fraud are happening in Minnesota. Listen to this.
Breaking news. A Minnesota judge has just sentenced the mastermind behind the Feeding Our Future fraud scheme, Amy Bach. She just got more than 41 years in prison.
Now, in a jailhouse interview with the New York Post, Bach says that she struggles to believe Ilhan Omar didn't know what was happening. And the Congresswoman responded. Any claim that I had knowledge of this scheme is flat out false, said Omar.
Oh, really?
As I stated from the beginning, stealing millions of dollars under the guise of feeding hungry children to bankroll lavish lifestyles and extravagant expenses is reprehensible.
But wait a second, isn't there footage of her at these various fraud centers that stole from children and scammed the American public? But before we get into what the criminals are saying about Ilhan Omar, look at what they were just sentenced to.
DOJ uncovering even more fraud in Minnesota, announcing charges against 15 different people. The DOJ says that scheme ended up costing taxpayers more than $90 million.
It really is remarkable, and we've reported some of these details to you in the past. When you talk about the autism services that were provided, that's a program that started out with a budget of $600,000, which jumped to $400 million. The way the scam worked is these centers encourage parents to get diagnoses for their kids that were bogus, then bill the government and U.S. taxpayers for treatment of autism for a kid that didn't need it. Ultimately, now the people who need this autism treatment can't get it because the program has been canceled. The same thing happened with the housing stabilization program. Started out with an estimated budget of $2.5 million. It was exploited to roughly 50 times that, $104 million, to the point that the program was canceled.
That's crazy.
And the people who need this service now cannot get this service. Now, Colin McDonald, the Assistant Attorney General for Fraud Prevention, had some strong words for the fraudsters who are still at large.
So they're still out there. There's still people out there that haven't even been caught yet.
Eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered.
Frolicking fraudsters.
And meantime, on this very same day, the woman convicted as the kingpin at the center of the massive Feeding Our Future scandal is sentenced to 41 and a half years in jail. That works out to be a little more than 35 years before she has a shot at parole.
Wow.
Amy Bach is her name. She's also on the hook for $243 million
and she
in
said
restitution.
Omar knows.
And that is the amount of money the court determined was scammed from taxpayers in that Feeding Our Future scandal alone. Amy Bach sobbed in the courtroom before she was sentenced. With shackled hands and feet, she said, quote, "I understand I failed. I failed the public, my family, everyone." Now, in March of 2025, Bach was convicted of mail fraud, wire fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. Prosecutors say she pulled the strings on this pandemic scandal with a program that was intended to feed poor kids during the pandemic. Instead, fraudsters billed Medicaid for meals that were never delivered. Before today, 79 people had been charged with defrauding taxpayers for pandemic money. 65 of them, Bill, have been convicted.
65 convictions. You know something? The wheels of justice, they might turn slowly, but they do turn. There are consequences, and as you're about to see, there might soon be more.
I'm grateful that Amy Bach and every individual involved in this abhorrent scheme are being held accountable. But Bach also says she's been made the face of the entire scheme despite dozens of people being charged. She said, "The notion that I'm personally responsible for all of it is so frustrating. I'm the only white person out of 80 or 90 individuals charged in the fraud. She can't be the only person. She can't be the face of this program. There's 90 other people that could be focused on, perhaps even including Ilhan Omar."
Oh, Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, 100%. And for Ilhan to say she doesn't know about this fraud is like the biggest lie we've heard in American history. She knew about the fraud. And today they actually just criminally charged one of the ladies for the Feeding Our whose daycare was used for the Feeding Our Future fraud. And I exposed her daycare in my video that went viral, and that person's now been charged. And that was the same daycare that was used to run Feeding Our Future.
That's crazy. It's all connected, and it's almost as if people who aren't protected by their high-profile status as elected officials are the only ones seriously being looked at, but that might soon change.
Okay. And you say, Nick, and you've done the investigation, you've done the research, and you say, of course, Omar knew. What's the evidence, and how does this eventually come home to roost for Ilhan Omar?
Well, if you just think about where all this fraud taking place, It's literally not even a 10-mile radius where most of this fraud took place. It's within like a 2-mile radius. And this is all around where her congressional district.
Her headquarters.
So for her to say that she didn't know about this fraud is such a lie.
But she says all the lies are being made up about her and that she's innocent.
Doing anything, and I think it gives more to the idea that this is just a made-up lie, because you do not investigate someone for 10 years and not come up with anything.
So then why do you think it's still being talked about?
Because these people are disgusting.
Oh.
They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they want to believe in this weird.
And
That's all I will say.
no, definitely. Why do you think, I guess, that you're being targeted then? It's like
They're racist, they're xenophobic.
Understood.
Yeah.
So, okay, if you want to investigate her for something that's illegal, it is not because you think that there's actually a crime going on. It's for the reasons she just mentioned. But is that true? And if it's true, does it mean she's innocent and she really knew nothing that was going on in restaurants and establishments where she held campaign events and met all the people who worked there?
And she's obviously trying to cover her face. I mean, look at her net worth. It just went down by $29 million.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just adjusted
and we know
that.
that she had a relationship with many of the individuals involved in this, had campaign rallies at various restaurants connected to this and so forth.
Campaign rallies.
Nikki, I wanted to ask you about this.
After her net worth was disclosed as being $30 million, she came out and said, oh, oopsie-daisy, that was an accounting error, and my net worth is actually $18,000. Yeah.
I have to believe that the governor's office and Keith Ellison's office were aware of this.
Tim Walz knew.
They've said they were involved in helping the FBI. They've said they were made aware. But apparently I'm scary, so they couldn't do anything. I don't know. I have to believe they were aware.
Yep.
And again, if they weren't, shame on them for having a system that their lower level staff
gonna mention
don't
Omar
bring
again.
something of this level to their attention.
Now, Bach has also implicated Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, whose name appeared in emails and texts during her trial.
Oh.
Bach tells the New York
There's
Post
a
that she,
file.
quote, struggles to believe that Omar didn't know what was happening in her district. She told Fox something similar.
After meeting with the people.
I don't know what she knew. I don't know. I know that I was duped by a number of people. We also have seen videos of Safari Restaurant giving out thousands of meals, pallets and pallets of food being distributed. Was there fraud? According to the DOJ and the FBI, yes. According to the jury verdict, yes. But how much? And why don't we know that? There's just so many holes and gaps in these cases.
Interesting.
Ilhan Omar visited those sites.
Yeah.
Why didn't the FBI?
That's a good question. Is it possible that some people are trying to protect Representative Omar because she's such a big voice in the progressive socialist movement in America, and we need her going into the midterm elections?
Did you ask Minnesota Democrats to block the subpoena for the investigation of Feeding Our Future on the state level?
Yeah, because she got subpoenaed and they blocked it.
The House Republicans are considering investigating Feeding Our Future now.
This is crazy.
Your role in it, would you cooperate with that subpoena and provide documents if they request it here in the House Oversight Committee?
Oh, she's not answering. Weird. So she doesn't want to talk about the subpoena or the fact that her own party at the local level blocked it. And then we want to know, where was the FBI? How come they've been able to get some people but not other people? Are folks going to escape justice?
That's right. Federal officials say the fraud targeted 7 Medicaid programs, some of which were intended to secure housing for the homeless and treat children with autism. One defendant, Mohammed Omar, is now behind bars after trying to flee authorities. He
this
was
guy tried
wanted
to
for
run.
more than $3 million in alleged Medicaid fraud.
$3 million.
Here's some of the other defendants. Prosecutors say Shamso Ahmed Hassan submitted more than $40 million in fraudulent claims to Medicaid for autism treatment services that were fake or not necessary.
And the allegation is, you have all of this crime happening where Ilhan Omar is the elected representative who's met with some of these individuals and is being implicated by some of these individuals. It's just wild that this was all going on. And now that it gets exposed, everyone's outraged. Even though we're just starting to discover how much criminality actually took place here, we're still learning about more crime.
They also say Fahima Mohammed fraudulently obtained millions of dollars from child care services and programs that were supposed to feed children.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
7 different state-managed Medicaid programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated Minnesota-run programs as their personal piggy bank.
Today's arrests represent the largest autism fraud bust in American history.
Medicaid is the fundamental payer of last resort for our most needy, most vulnerable citizens.
Yeah.
And when we're unable to keep these programs alive because of fraudsters, it hurts all of us.
Right, so there are real people at the other end of this who were supposed to get this money and couldn't because it was being given to scammers for beach vacations. Scammers who allegedly donated to politicians that turned a blind eye. That's the allegation.
I think it does seem like the tip of the iceberg, and here's why. Because we know how pervasive this fraud was, particularly in Minnesota, but probably other places as well, and how many politicians may have either turned a blind eye or even possibly important that they're doing by bringing so much attention, meaning the Trump administration, to this issue. There's a massive deterrent value because people want to, if you're a criminal, you want to commit crimes you're going to get away with.
And now that's not happening. And the fact that people are actually getting charged, people are actually going to jail, that bodes well for justice in America. That is going to be a huge deterrent for people that think that just because somebody that they are potentially well connected with is in office and has got the broom and can sweep everything under the rug, that's not good enough anymore. Because if your president's not in the White House, well, guess what? Someone might come looking for all the fraud. Somebody might come looking for all the criminal activity. And we actually need to see real people who've stolen from America and stolen from children and stolen from those who are in need punished for it, because if that doesn't happen, this whole thing is going to keep happening. No consequences is the biggest incentive for people to keep doing this.
And now they're not going to think they're going to get away with it, or certainly not as easily at this point.
Such a great point. But one thing I don't understand is the following. Look, I get in Minnesota, so many Democrat politicians buried their head in the sand, even though they knew that fraud was happening right under their nose, because they didn't want to lose the Somali vote. We know that. That is well documented. But in the other 49 states where this fraud in many instances was rampant as well, was known
California,
as well.
New York.
Why did Democrats not do anything about it when they were in charge of these states? For the sheer reason that Democrats are always touting the importance of these Medicaid, Medicare programs for those who need it.
Well, that's because the allegation is these programs are set up with very few checks and balances, very loose regulations. The excuse in Minnesota was, well, we had so many people in need and we're so generous, we needed to set these things up right away and give the money out and just hope that it went to the right place. Well, what that allowed criminals to set up these businesses that got that money, take that money, and then guess who those criminals support? Do you think those criminals support a justice system that is going to come after them? No, they support a justice system that will help them create new businesses and new opportunity. And it sounds so great. Oh, we're going to expand this coverage. We're going to make it possible to have city-run daycares all over the place and this and that all over the place. And we're going to help people set up these businesses. And oh, we're so caring, we're so kind. But really, it's just a big program that enables scammers, and nobody actually gets the help they need because the money's disappearing.
Why didn't they step in and save these programs that they're always touting the need to fund at the highest level, and to expand these programs to everybody? It doesn't make sense why they didn't do anything,
unless
Jonathan.
it's a business.
That is such a great point. If these programs in and of themselves are so valuable to the community, why don't they step in? Because they supposedly are using them to help people.
They're not.
And it begs the question, are the programs in themselves, just the money in the programs and other things, what the Democrats actually are looking for? Because that is money to the communities that they think will vote for them, as opposed to the care that they say they want out of these programs. So that is such an interesting question. I mean, some of it is probably just negligence. People weren't paying attention. Some of it people didn't know.
And you know something? If you're a politician and you love money and you've got a program that has been set up and people are filling out the paper, they're applying for it, and then they're getting the money, and then those people show up at your campaign event, and they donate, and they get out there on a megaphone, and they talk about how great you are for the community and how many people you're saving and how you're having such a great impact, it's gonna be pretty hard to put that person in jail, isn't it? Especially if you know that as you help them open more businesses, your campaign will benefit. You see, this is how the corruption and the money sweep in, even if the politician's not in league with the bad guys, which some people think a lot more than that was going on in Minnesota.
The House Oversight Committee referring the House Ethics Committee to investigate far-left Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. It concerned a controversial change to her financial disclosures that dramatically cut her family's reported wealth. Mike Tobin has more on this. What you find out, Mike? Hello.
Bill, Minnesota Democratic Congresswoman Ilhan Omar has been referred to the U.S. House Ethics Committee to look into the matter of her personal finances. We've talked about this before. Financial disclosures show that the estate of the Minnesota Congresswoman jumped from almost nothing to $30 million while in office. Then, amid all the scrutiny over her personal finances, Omar and her husband updated their financial disclosure to state that their estate was worth less than $100,000.
So the red flags here are the timing. It's not a big deal if you're a politician that is benefiting from crime and corruption to accurately disclose the amount that corruption has allegedly benefited you if your guy's in the White House, your guy's the governor, and no one's ever gonna check. But what happens? Trump comes in, Biden's not in the Oval Office anymore, and now the net worth drops. There's all these investigations. It all happens at the same time. It looks fishy, man.
Congresswoman blamed the $29 million discrepancy on an accounting mistake that did not subtract the liabilities from her husband's business. Republican Minnesota State Representative Chris...
Oh, I'm sorry. I have to stop it right there. So because her husband's business had $30 million of income and they forgot to subtract the $29 million in liabilities, they got the wrong number. So I would like to see some proof of those liabilities. There's a lot of weird things.
Fathomable that she would have two such disparate forms from her financial disclosures. One saying she's worth up to 30 million, the other one saying she's worth less than 100,000. The math just doesn't work, and they need to get to the bottom of it.
Now, Omar sponsored the 2020 Meals Act, which the Minnesota House Fraud Prevention and Oversight Committee had been investigating this legislative session. The Republican Majority Committee determined that the Meals Act removed the guardrails on a program called Feeding Our Future.
And that's what people think was done on purpose. They think it was done on purpose to remove these guardrails so that the scam could just be turbocharged.
Headed to feed poor children during the pandemic. Prosecutors now say that program was defrauded to the tune of $250 million. Representative Omar did not cooperate with the committee, and Republicans lacked the votes to force her to cooperate. Now, Amy Bach, the woman convicted as the ringleader in the Feeding Our Future scandal, told the New York Post she struggles to believe Omar would not have known about the massive fraud enabled by the Meals Act.
And that's the thing that everybody keeps pointing to. How does this happen? How do you meet with the people involved in this? How do you get your picture taken with some of them and you don't know anything? And how does your net worth go way up and then there's no problem and then it goes way down? Like, that's crazy. There's a lot of bizarre things happening over here. What do you think's going on? Is this a political conspiracy led by Trump to get rid of somebody that he doesn't like? Or is there actual crime going on here? Should more people be convicted? I'll see you in the next video.